o'clock, so we can unmute whenever you're ready. Thank you. All right, we're going to call a meeting to order and invite everyone to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Meg. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Move to approval of the consent agenda, and the only item on our consent agenda this evening is approval of the minutes from our July 9th, 2024 board meeting. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Meg. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Angela. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. We're going to move on to audience of citizens. Ooh. We're going to move on to our audience of citizens, and I'm just going to offer a brief reminder for anyone who's wishing to offer public comment who might be joining us for the first time that this is a business meeting of the Board of Education. We offer two places on our agenda where we welcome comments from the public now in our audience of citizens, and again towards the end of the meeting. We do request that members of the public please keep their comments to 3 minutes or less. When you hit the 3-minute mark, we'll ask you to summarize and wrap up, please, so that we have time to hear from everybody. And I did also want to mention that public comment really is intended as a comment. Our bylaws prohibit us from having a back and forth exchange or answering questions during the public comment. So if you do have specific questions you're looking to have answered, members of the public can always address those questions to any of our building principals or to Dr. Britton by phone or email after the meeting. And that said, are there any members of the public who wish to address the board here in person this evening? All right, welcome. Please come up to the podium and you can state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Erin Benson. I live at 49 Grove Street here in Portland. I am a stay-at-home mom with 4 kids and current PTO president for Valley View. My biggest concern right now is the timeline as far as the amount of staff that we have lost specifically at Valley View. Since the start of last school year, we've lost 15 staff members, roughly 15 staff members. I want to know what the justification is for that. What are we doing to support our staff? And where have we failed them? Because I know, as I have stated in my email, that I have bent over backwards for every one of those staff members. And I want to know what the board has done to I don't want to say that you have failed them. As a stay-at-home mom, I will absolutely praise anybody who wants to stay home with their families. Absolutely. That's my first go-to. But if it was a money issue, our teachers would have been long gone. Whether there are neighboring districts who will give more or less. We have teachers who have left after 20 plus years, who've loved every single one of their kids that's come through their room. And for whatever reason, whether it be the big picture that is coming, the needs of today are being neglected. Right? And that is all I have to say. And we need to do better. And as president, I'm happy to have a conversation with whoever needs to be, because we need to do better. As I have a child going into second grade. I haven't been up to Gildersleeve yet. So, in my heart right now, I'm just looking out for Valley View. So,
Thank you, Karen.
thank you.
Do we have anyone else in person who wishes to address the board? Do we have anyone online who wishes to address the board? Not yet, and as a reminder, there will be a second opportunity at the end of the meeting. All right, we're gonna move on. We do not have a Portland Public Schools spotlight this evening or our student representative report. We'll look forward to returning to both of those likely in our September meetings, I imagine. So we're gonna move on to communications and updates, and first on the agenda is Dr. Britton's superintendent's report.
Awesome. Is Ryan Wallstrom on Zoom too?
He was. Yes.
Good.
And then Kate Lawson also.
Oh, awesome. All right, so we prepared on you last year. The first part of my report, Ryan and I are going to talk a little bit, but I want to go first. So I want to talk a little bit about why teachers leave Portland, how many leave, what we can expect in any given year. So I looked at some data. In any given normal year, somewhere between 10 to 15% of our teachers leave. Either they retire, which is one primary reason, or they do resign. Okay, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the resignations. People retire because they've worked a long career and they deserve to retire. So I think that the reasons for people's retirement when they retire are obviously theirs to make after long and successful careers. Just to give you a sense, at the end of the 2021-2022 school year, in terms of certified educators, we had 13 resignations, including retirements. At the end of the 2022-2023 school year, we had 15. And at the end of this year, we've had 60. So we're right in the ballpark with what we normally expect from people who decide to leave Portland. All the way back to 2020, I've had a general standing practice where whenever anybody leaves the district, either through retirement or through resignation, I conduct what's called an exit interview. It's a really important opportunity for me to talk to people. Most of the time, I'll be honest with you, when I have these exit interviews, I generally know the people pretty well and have a sense, but sometimes when people leave organizations, they're a little less filtered in the feedback they might give me, and I think that that's a really healthy exercise to hear why people are leaving. So I've been doing exit interviews for the past 4 years. Last year, a state law was passed that required that. So anybody who leaves a public school district is required, the district must offer them an exit interview. For those of you who were surprised to hear that, and are teachers in other districts and didn't have an exit interview, you should have. And in addition, the Board of Education last year passed a policy that said every teacher who leaves a district will be offered either the opportunity to give written feedback or have an interview with me, and we took it to the next level. That feedback then is something that I provide to the board personnel committee. Right? Generally speaking, the personnel committee is where we can talk with some level of confidence. I can give a little bit more unfiltered feedback in public session. Obviously, I need to respect some people's privacy and respect the confidentiality for some people's reasons, as some of these are family related or personal matters that people don't want shared. But with respect to the personnel committee, I have met with the personnel committee and shared feedback starting this year each time any of the 16 teachers who have left the district, and shared those reasons with the personnel committee. This year I understand that 7 teachers left Valley in total. Since the end of May, 7 certified educators, not including the principal, have left Valley. I have had exit interviews with each of them. And because that's a larger number than normal, 7 is a larger number than normal at Valley, as part of my exit interview, I did ask those individuals if they would be comfortable I shared this information a little bit more publicly, and the feedback I got was yes, it would be okay, Charles, don't put my name to it, right? Like, I don't really need people to know how much more money I'm making or where I'm going necessarily, but I want every one of those people who I spoke with wanted me to make sure that the community knew that their reasons for them leaving have nothing to do, especially with the children they've worked with. right? Every one of the teachers who I spoke with shared incredibly affirming stories about their experiences working with your kids, Portland. Like, your children are wonderful, and the teachers who are leaving love them. They loved working with them. Generally speaking, I've only had positive experiences with your kids and the parents and the families in Portland. That said, I want to get into a little bit more detail, and I'm going to. One of the individuals of those 7 who left took a leadership position. She is going from teacher to assistant principal. We do an amazing job here in Portland of developing leaders, as evidenced by Sarah McLaughlin, who we brought up and is now our leader here in Portland, Tracy Graff, Mike Searson. Our leadership team here does a great job developing leaders. Not only do we tap into that when we have openings in district, but other districts see that value and often take our teachers. It's a lot. I can look at 3 or 4 names on this list, including Michelle I know and others on here, who are in leadership positions in other districts based on their experience and skills they developed here in Portland and are now serving successfully in other districts. So one of the 7 left for career advancement. Wish her well, she's gonna be great. 4 of the teachers who left for significantly more money in other districts. Okay, I want to unpack that a little bit for the board. It is true, and all of this is subject to freedom of information. If people want to do the homework, all contracts on our websites, you can look at them. That Portland's salary schedule is truly on the lower side, okay, compared to other communities in Middlesex County, compared to other communities statewide, or on the lower end, and particularly when we look at communities similar to Portland, Coventry, Litchfield, East Haddam, similar in demographics, we're about the bottom third. The salary schedule isn't such that we're thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars apart, but we're thousands of dollars apart. We are lower. Not that much lower, but a pretty good amount. But the other thing that happens here in Portland is in previous contracts, teachers have been brought on board at lower steps than their years of experience. We had to work that out of the last contract. What that means is that when they go to apply to other districts, not only are their salary schedules slightly higher in terms of equal step-to-step costs, but they get credited their years of experience. So while you may have 8 years of experience in Portland, you might be on step 4 because of the step freezes and previous contracts. You might go to a neighboring community and put up to step 9, which in some cases is $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 more. So when I met with the 4 teachers who left, I heard very clearly I was credited more years of experience than I had in Portland. I couldn't catch them up. I would be grieved. That would be a violation of the contract if I did that. It would also break our budget. I could not take this other position for another $15,000, $20,000 a year in the other district. That was my motivation for leaving. I love Portland. If you could match that salary, I would have stayed. But understand, I have to take care of my family. I have a mortgage to pay. Things are more expensive in my life. This is what I need to do. Now, it's important for the board to know that shortly, next couple of months, you're going to be taking a look at the next 3-year contracts for 4 of our bargaining units. The Personnel Committee is hard at work on this issue right here. We're aware of it. And we're trying to work collaboratively with all of our bargaining units so that we can start to exercise out of contracts those step freezes and language that create this opportunity for people to get those years of experience, but also, make sure that, well, first we can afford to pay our teachers what they pay. We can pay a market rate, but of course it's complicated because we always have to balance that against Portland's ability to pay, right? Some communities like Glastonbury, Avon, Westbrook, Westport, New Canaan, unfortunately we're in a state where there are mass inequities in terms of community wealth. Portland isn't there. We're never going to pay what Westport pays. And if we tried to, we would price people out of their homes here in Portland because the property taxes would go up too much. That's what makes this such a complicated thing for the board, and we have to consider both the people who fund our schools through the property taxes and our local educational agency versus what we need to be able to pay teachers to recruit and retain those who come here. So it's both a function of salary in the schedule and step freezes and previous language we finally got rid of, thank goodness, that created the condition where teachers can be leaving here to earn significantly more money. So let me stop there before I get to the other reasons and talk about career advancement or salary and see if anybody on the board has any questions or if you need me to explain anything further. Make sense?
I think you're hitting all the
All right.
right notes.
Good. And this is going to be a really important thing, Angela, for you in particular, as you were new to this, to get up to speed on as we talk about the contracts and executive sessions coming up, because we are right up to our next negotiations right now. I can't talk more about that, except that we're in negotiations, because obviously those are confidential deliberations until we're ready to share them with the board, and ultimately the board will need to take action on those contracts. So that's 5. That's 5 of the 7. 1 for career advancement, 4 for significantly more money. 2 left for different reasons, right? 1 left for family obligations. I'm going to say no more than that. I had a long conversation with this individual. I know exactly what those reasons are. She too reflected on a lot of the positive experiences she had in Portland, but she has to do what's right for her family. God bless her. I would never suggest that anybody not do what's right for your family first. And 1 is leaving because she's exploring other career options. It is true. Teaching is a grueling profession. It is hard work. Kim, would I be fair in saying that? It's a hard job. The work, it's a hard job, it's stressful, it's intense. That's why we have to let our teachers know how much we love them. I appreciate those comments that the teachers feel that from us, because it's a hard job. And for some people, you need a break, right? We all have to be aware of our mental health, our quality of life has to match what we contribute. And I respect anybody who says, you know what, I either need a break, I need to step back, I need a year off, maybe I'll go back in the future when I'm in a different place. So 1 left for career advancement, 4 left for significantly more money. That is truly a reflection of contract issues. 1 left to take care of their family, and 1 left because they're going to explore other potential career options. So let me stop there and see if I have any questions with anybody on the board.
You've only addressed the certified staff, but we have paraprofessionals
We
who
do.
are pursuing teaching degrees
Correct.
and have gotten those certificates, gotten their licenses. So now they are also one of the reasons we see a big exodus of paraprofessionals, I think, is the fact that they're going on to getting their own classrooms.
That's right. And paraprofessionals is also a very high turnover position. It's not a highly paid position, but it's a position that lots of people, we have had many of our teachers we've hired were paras first. It's a great opportunity for people to come, dip their toes in the water, and find out if you would like to be a teacher. And many of our paras come in. I just hired one just the other day. It was a para at Valley View. It's not going to be a special ed teacher at Brownstone. I'm really excited. But this is the pipeline. You know, our pipeline in the teaching profession often goes through paraprofessionals. Many resign from the paraprofessional positions because they got their teaching degrees or are going on to pursue those. Others not so much. You know, some come in, try it, don't like it. That is the way it is. It's not a high paid position. It's a position that it has some greater turnover than others. But many of our paras go on to become outstanding teachers. Many of our teachers go on to become outstanding school leaders. And one of the things I'm really proud of about us here in Portland is we create those pipelines. You know, we go out, tap people on the shoulder, and say, you need to be a principal. Let us help guide you there. You need to be a teacher. Let us help guide you there.
You've done that right along.
Yep. So I want to turn it over to Ryan now because I think it's really important for the community first to hear that those teachers didn't leave because of anything we didn't do, could have done differently, or any hard feelings they have. They really are leaving, I believe, because of either career advancement, you know, money, or issues that are at this point in their life important to them. And I know that because I've heard that from them. Like they looked me in the eye and told me this. So what I'd like Ryan to talk about now is where we're going. I mean, we're in the dog days of summer. It's
Can I just ask a couple questions before we jump to Ryan? Sure. I think you had said there were 16 resignations
Yep.
in the 23-24 class year, but we only discussed 7.
Yeah, some of these go all the way back to last October.
Okay, so I think the community is concerned about the 6 that just came in,
Correct.
mostly within the last 4 weeks?
That's what he was addressing, the 7 that just came in. The others came in over the course of the year. And I will add, that's a good question, Angela. When I looked back over the last 3 years of the data that you just shared, I went back through our folders to pull up letters of resignation, because I also had this gut feeling of, wow, that's an awful lot all at once.
Yeah, it didn't sound like we,
But
I know I've only been here since
Mhm.
January, but I don't remember seeing this many resignations.
In the past, the rest of what I was gonna say is that when I looked back at the last 3 years, what I saw every August was a spike in resignations, because that's when folks are figuring out
For the next school.
for the next school year. And so it is a lot all at once, and what's a little unusual is to have them concentrated in one school this year.
Mhm.
Usually they're spread across the district more,
Well,
but we
I
typically expect a spike about this big, you know.
I can tell you exactly, because I have the dates of resignation. In 2021, 22, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that came in August. In 2022, 2023, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that came in August, and this year 6.
6, okay. Good, thank you for that clarification. Were there other reasons besides money with the 4? Because I think you had said we're gonna get into the other reasons that they left. Because typically what I have found in my career, people, even if they're being paid less, but feel valued and are happy with their leadership, will stay in positions. And so I question the leadership at Valley View, right at this point, because of a lot of transitions that have happened. And I'm just wondering if any of those reasons of leadership were mentioned to you at all in their exit interviews.
No. No one in the exit interview said that their reason was influenced by Jessica leaving or by Ryan coming in. Not a single person. I'm glad you asked me that question,
Yeah.
because
It's
I want
important.
to say
Because
that,
what I've also seen is sometimes when leadership leaves, people tag along.
sure, that didn't
They'll,
happen. Yeah.
you know, and I was curious as to maybe some of those had been offered positions by the principal who left. Did they move to, I'm not sure where she went personally.
You're making me squirm a little bit, because when I left, I poached a few people from my
Yeah.
position. No, Jessica hasn't picked anyone out. She is not poached, but I have done that, and I've always felt a little guilty about it, but I can't do people that way.
No, I've done it too.
All right, so no. I do, while I shared the reasons people left, and I'll say them again. Career advancement, for 1. For 4, out of Valley View, significantly more money. For 1, family reasons, and 1, taking a break from teaching, right? Those are the reasons that were shared with me. I also want to share the reasons why people didn't leave. No one told me that they left for anything having to do with the children that they worked with or the community they served. Everyone I left used the word, I loved Valley View, or I loved Portland. Every single one. None of them left because of the turnover in leadership. None of them said, I'm leaving because Ryan Wallstrom's a ghoul and I can't work for the guy. Nobody said that. Nor did anybody say, I'm leaving because I'm mad that Jessica left. Nobody said that. Also, nobody said, this is really important, I'm leaving because of the potential for a school consolidation. Every single one of them said, Valley View's falling apart, it's too hot, it's not in good shape, you must do something to fix it, Charles. I'm concerned about the school consolidation, I'm anxious about it, I want to be learning more about it, seeing what architects look like and seeing where the bus loop is going to be, but something must be done, Charles, these buildings are abysmal. Every single one of them. So I said the reasons they're leaving. I also think it's important to know nobody left because they're mad at Portland in any way, disgruntled with Ryan or Jessica, or because of the school consolidation. So I'm glad you asked me that question, and I want to make sure that's crystal clear out there.
Thank you.
So what are we doing, right? The ghoul Ryan's over our right shoulder. right? So, Ryan, why don't you talk to us a little bit about where your head is and where we're headed over the next couple of weeks, knowing that school is starting in about 3 weeks?
Sure. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. So good evening, and I apologize for not being there in person. This was sort of last minute, but I'm really glad that that Charles asked me to be a part of this conversation. The first thing I want to say is, and it'll echo some of what Charles said, I can't thank Jessica Bruin enough for the time that she spent with me in the transition, sharing documents with me, sharing practices at Valley View. I had the opportunity to spend a little bit of time in the building to observe arrival and dismissal. She truly, in her heart, wanted to make sure that it was a smooth transition, and in many ways set me steps ahead of where I would have been if I had not had that time with her. So I have to say thank you to her, and thank you to Charles for allowing me to spend some of that time at Valley View. I also want to say that I started July 1st, and one of those weeks I was on vacation, so I've only had a few weeks to actually be in the position as principal at Valley View. I've had many wonderful meetings with teachers individually and in teams. Even though I've been in the district, I have not been at Valley View. So talking with them about the things that they love about the school, some things they might want to see change, and I have to share this too, and I'll get into this in a minute. We have been doing some interviewing. We've hired a clinician. We're almost at the end of the process of hiring our APA special education teacher. And I've had the fortunate opportunity of having teachers volunteer their time to come in to serve on those committees, which can take days or multiple days at a time to thoroughly go through that process. And it's wonderful to go around the table and to listen to them talk about Valley View and just to talk about Portland in general. There are so many teachers, and I can speak for Gilbert City and I can speak for Valley View when I say that there are so many teachers who know that they could go elsewhere and make more money. Someone on the board brought this up. But they also love what they have in Portland. They love the colleagues that they have around them, the administration, the support of the board, right on down the line. So while we're certainly talking about a small group of teachers that have left recently, there's also a lot of teachers who stay because they love it. And I especially heard that with the interview meetings. I've heard wonderful things about the paraprofessionals and especially the first grade teachers who are leaving. It is disappointing to me that I'm not going to have that time to work with them. But that being said, we posted the position when the first grade teacher resigned, and since then we've had over 70 people, certified teachers, apply for those first grade positions. So over the weekend, I went through all those applications and selected, I think at this point, 24 applicants to bring in for interviews. I put together a committee which consists of a parent and our two first grade teachers who remain on the team, I believe 2 second grade teachers, and our reading specialist. So there will be several of us on that committee doing interviews. The interviews are going to be held tomorrow and Thursday. They're full day. We're going to have to drink lots of coffee because we start at 8:30 and we go all the way until 3:15 in the afternoon. So, and the applicants vary from some who have some student teaching experience in the primary grades, some actually in first grade, in some cases kindergarten, or second and third grade, and then also, so those are teachers who have just wanted student teaching in those grades, and then we have the opposite end of the spectrum. We have some candidates who have 8, 10, as many as 15 years of experience. So again, this is where the work of the committee in collaboration with each other will make the decisions as to which of those 24 candidates that we move forward to model lessons, and I'm hoping that will happen next Tuesday. And we'll bring in a small group of first graders and get have the opportunity to watch these finalists teach a small group lesson, and then we'll make recommendations to Charles for 3 of those candidates to be hired for the positions. So it's again, it is sad, to see that some of these teachers and staff members leave Valley View. I hear wonderful, wonderful things about them. But I'm also looking at this optimistically, in that it is an opportunity to hire in some new teachers, some new paraprofessionals who bring new ideas, who bring new blood, and I think that's also a really positive thing as well. And I can't help but think about this is new from the top down. Again, I'm not new to Portland, but I'm new to Valley View as well. So I'm excited about building this new team and moving forward with the school year.
Thank you.
Any questions from any of you?
Other questions for Ryan about the transition?
No, I think you've got a good plan.
We can't take questions.
I just want to tell Ryan I will be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
We have a parent representative on the committee.
It's you. I was hoping for evening, but great. It'll be great to have you on the committee.
And thank you for your service, Aaron. It sounds like a grueling couple of days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I appreciate you weighing in on what that transition looks like and the timeline over the next week. It sounds like we should be fully staffed by next week.
You should be.
Can I ask, because it's probably on a lot of parents' minds, especially parents of incoming first graders, other grades, Field in particular, has received teacher assignments. Do you anticipate when those would be going out? Is there a delay because of this hiring process?
Yeah, that's a great question, Laurel. So we, because the other 2 elementary principals and I decided to send our letter out on the same day. I did send that letter today, and currently, if the first grade students that are in those 3 classes that that have the vacancies, they have the previous teacher's name listed in PowerSchool. I did share all this information in the letter that I sent today. And I talked to quite a few parents, both face to face and on the phone in the last couple of days. And I started by saying I have a 5th grader who's still in elementary. My as many of you know, my son has gone on to middle school. But I get that anxiety, so I do feel that pressure, and I will move this process along as quickly as I can. But I also want to do my due diligence in looking at all the candidates that we have in front of us and selecting the 3 top candidates for those positions. So, Laurel, if I had to put a timeline on it, again, interviews are tomorrow and Thursday. Tuesday is hopefully our model lessons, if we can pull together a small group of first graders. I talked to a few people about that. And then as quickly as after that, as we can get them into Charles, get them to sign their contracts, I will immediately then communicate with those families.
Great. Thank you so much for that.
Yep.
It's just weird because I'm thinking if we lost teachers to go somewhere for higher pay, why do we think we got such a plethora of applications if we pay so low?
Because it's an awesome place to work.
Probably for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, there's a lot of competing reasons.
Yeah. And that's
Are they all coming from, I know I've heard Hartford let go of a lot of teachers because they got cutbacks. Is that what you're seeing a lot with these applications? Are they people who were let go in other districts?
That's a really good question, and honestly, it was a variety of reasons. Many of the applicants are new teachers, and I can't put a number on that, but many of them completed their student teaching last spring, and they're still this summer interviewing for jobs. It's probably a variety of reasons as to why the other candidates are leaving or willing to leave their positions. But it's very interesting. I mean, again, some of them have 5, 6, 7 years experience. There are others who have as many as 15 years of experience. And I think either Laurel or Tim might have just said this, but despite what is happening, Portland does have a great reputation of being a great place to come and work. And part of it is that we are smaller than a lot of other districts, but yet, we are able to support, newer teachers, or it's just, it's being a smaller district and a less, urban and more suburban district. Sometimes that's attractive to people. It's just a variety of reasons.
Thanks.
Right, I'll just add thank you for coming out this evening, because, I understand why parents are concerned, and why they are wanting to know, like, who's this teacher gonna be that my kid's gonna have, and, I think if I was in that position, I would feel likewise, and so I just appreciate you changing your schedule so you can come out and address all these concerns, and give us a plan for how you're addressing these gaps in a timely manner.
Yeah. I appreciate this, and I'll repeat what I said earlier. I have my daughter is going into 5th grade, is an elementary school student, a little older than, those that have children going into kindergarten and 1st grade, but I get that anxiety. So, that's driving me a little bit as well to make this happen as quickly as possible, while, doing my due diligence and finding the right people.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. I would echo that too. I would echo what Sarah said, that I have a lot of empathy for parents that are incoming 1st graders, and that this has got to feel very unsettling. But I guess I need to say that Ryan, I have such complete confidence in how you are handling this transition. You have a track record at Gildersleeve of building such trust and mutual respect and cohesion amongst your staff. And I just have no doubt in my mind at all that the same thing is going to be true at Valley View, that you're going to hire exceptional people and build that same feeling of cohesion with the new staff as well as our veteran staff. So I feel very confident that Valley View's in really good hands.
I appreciate it, Laurel. Thank you.
So how many, did we lose, how many Valley View? And what grades, and how many hires are we doing?
3 1st grade.
So how many
Okay,
first grade?
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
how many were there, and now how many are we hiring?
You're asking, you're asking what we're hiring for right now.
Yeah.
But
So
how
there.
many did we have in total before?
Yeah, so there were 6 1st grade teachers last year.
Okay.
We, because of the number of students coming from kindergarten to 1st grade, we went down to 5 teachers, just because of that. And since then, 3 of those teachers have resigned to take the positions in other districts.
Okay, and
In
so,
addition to that, full transparency, disclosure, our music teacher that I share with Tracy Pratt at Gildersleeve, she's 0.5 at Gildersleeve, 0.5 at Valley View. She also took a position in another district. Tracy has been working with the head of our music department and some of our music staff as well to look at the applications that we've received for that. And we're conducting interviews for that position on Monday. And we're conducting this is what I'm doing all week. On Friday, and we've been doing this all summer. Kudos to Sarah McLaughlin for her work in recruiting paraprofessionals. We will do. I think this is the 2nd or 3rd day or round of paraprofessional interviews that we'll be doing on Friday. And that is not uncommon in the 7 years that I've been here. Every summer, and it always feels like right down to the last minute before school starts, we're recruiting and hiring paraprofessionals.
Yeah.
so these 3 new 1st grade teachers, what type of guidance or monitoring, because I'm assuming that the 3 that left had many years of experience, or, I'm not sure, but how do we assure our parents that those new teachers from wherever they come from will be monitored and that their children are in the best of hands, that we've made the right decisions for our children?
Yeah. That's a great question, and I can go on and on and on with the answer to that. There are a couple pieces that are really important. One is that and I think the staff, the teachers at Gildersleeve, and even Charles, have a track record of spending a lot of time in classrooms. And with our new teacher evaluation plan, it actually requires more of that. So that's one piece of it is me observing and providing feedback. I think one of the it's important to note here my passion, but also my previous experience prior going into administration was being a literacy coach and a literacy specialist. So that's something that excites me. Usually new teachers come in with new ideas related to literacy. So that's going to be really important, along with piloting a new reading program this year to get them all on board and making sure that we're kind of moving together as a unit with that. In addition, my reading specialist, Carrie St. Germain, is on the interview committee, and she spends time in both the kindergarten and the first grade classes coaching and co-teaching when needed. So she'll be there, to support as well. So those, there's a number of ways, but one of the things I'm really excited about is the Valley View. Having only kindergarten and first grade will allow me to focus specifically, on those grade levels and specifically on early literacy. I hope that's helpful to parents. There are a lot of stop gates. There's a lot of support. Oh, the one last thing I was going to say is if we end up hiring new teachers coming out of student teaching, they're required to go through the team program. We almost call it BEST, but that was the real one. And nobody wants to hear about BEST anymore. The program, they're required to have a mentor, and they're required to work through several modules and write reflection papers on things like classroom management, instruction, differentiation, and so on. That's different ways that they're supported.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are there any additional questions for Ryan while we have him?
Just a quick question, will you be doing the open kind of classroom situation a couple days before school starts when the teachers are all back?
Yes, the meet and greet. Yeah, all three elementary schools are doing that, and we coordinated it so they don't. They do overlap, but they don't completely overlap. So that if families have children in each of the different schools, I see Laurel laughing.
Yeah.
She's been through this before.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, that was communicated. I sent what almost appeared to be the length of a dissertation today to families with everything from how we do our radical dismissal to when the meet and greet is, even giving the dates for our open house curriculum night. So it's more information than I'm sure they were even hoping to get, but it's all there.
Okay, thank you. That's always a fun day.
Yeah.
All right. Ryan, thank you so much for taking time to talk us through this. I think it's really helpful for us, and it's helpful for the community to hear what the transition will look like.
No problem. I really appreciate the support. We're gonna, we'll get through this. We always do, and again, I'm optimistic. We're gonna build we've got a great team. A lot of great players already that are still in place at Valley View, and we're gonna add some great new players, and then work to build a collaborative culture where we support each other.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for saying that about Ryan. I couldn't agree more.
I mean it with all my heart.
That's he's the best. We're very lucky to have him.
We are. Excellent.
Yeah.
What?
He'll be busy.
He's gonna be busy.
Oh, that happens.
Are we ready to move on from this? Is that all right if Charles proceeds with the rest of his report?
Great. So a few more things along the lines of getting ready to go back to school. I know that you received a correspondence from a parent questioning why it takes so long to put the bus list together. Right? I have corresponded with that parent, and I explained it's a big process. Right? Here's what happens. We run 9 bus routes. Okay? So there are 9 big buses. It used to be 10, now we're down to 9. It's really important that for M&J to have the time to, one, figure out who our new students are. All of our new kindergarten students, our new pre-K students, and any one of our new students from K all the way up to 12, and make sure that we get them on a bus. That one is balanced, and has enough seats for all the students on them, and isn't, consolidates the distance around town, so they're not traveling, you go on the bus for an hour and a half. So it's not like we can just use the same bus routes every year over and over again, although they generally stay the same, but there are always some changes based on how many kids might be in certain neighborhoods. That takes time. The other thing we do here in Portland, which is unique to Portland, but I think if I ever touch this, talk about angry parents showing up here, would be we offer a thing called alternative bus routes. So we give parents all July to figure out if on Mondays I need the kids dropped off at Little Bears, on Tuesdays I need the kids picked up at Grandma's, on Wednesdays I need them dropped off at Boy Scouts or the neighbor's house, right? So parents have to figure out their schedules all summer, and then what happens is they fill out a form. Some of you may have filled out that form saying, I cater my kid's schedule, so instead of just one drop off and one pickup, on Mondays I'm dropped off here and picked up here, on Tuesdays I'm picked up here, dropped off here, on Wednesdays here and here, right? And we give parents until the end, until August 1 to figure that part of their life out and fill out the form. We close that on August 1. I can tell you M and J would love it if we said no more alternative bus routes, one drop-off spot and one pickup, that's it. If we did say one drop-off and one pickup, we could publish the routes very quickly. But because of that alternative bus route thing, with dozens and dozens of parents requiring multiple stops, some days the kids are on Route 1, some days they're on 3, and our friends at M&J have to use their software package and spend a lot of time catering the routes to the alternative routes and the new students. It takes a lot of time. Right now, I spoke with Nancy, and she's working hard on it. She has the software. The gentleman who used to do it unfortunately passed away, so she's getting it done herself and learning this. We will get those routes up, posted by the end of August, but it would be impossible for us to do it any earlier unless we either cut off when people can register, which I don't think would be legal, right? Or said no more alternative bus routes, which is something I think many of our families count on to make their lives easier. So in my correspondence, I was like, yes, we could speed it up, but in speeding it up, I think we would make a lot of other people upset if we didn't offer the things people count on to make their lives easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense.
Does that make sense, everybody? So,
Could you make the deadline for the alternate bus decisions earlier than August 1st?
we could, but again, I think it's tough. People need time. It's especially our new parents who are just learning what it's like to send their 5-year-old off to school, managing their work schedules and coordinating whether it's kids' class or kids' corner or Little Bears or Grandma's house. It's just, I think people value that month of August to figure their lives out and
July.
through July.
I can also remember, Angela, a couple of years ago when they did ask for the forms back by the end of the school year. And I don't think parents were able to comply with that. And then it was a bit of a mess trying to get those forms from people later in the summer. So I hear what you're saying, but I think you're right. People don't necessarily know their schedules until later on.
So we will get the routes published before the start of school. It's just we won't be able to get them done at the beginning of August. We need that time to build the routes so the kids have a comfortable length of a ride and a well-balanced bus and alternative bus routes accommodated.
When those are published, they go into the River East, is that correct?
And
They
put
also-
it on the website too.
Yeah, on the website.
Yeah.
So those are the two places that you can walk. I think they posted them on the door at school as well.
Yeah,
People
and
could walk up to the door.
all the kids get the tags, and we have the window sticker. We make sure everybody knows.
I think emails go home too.
And emails.
It's
And
very
it's
well
in Power
communicated.
School.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not to fear, you will have plenty of information before the first bus rolls out on the first day of school.
So I did correspond with that parent. I let them know we're working on it. If I think of any ways to speed this process up without, sometimes the cure is worth spending the disease or anything like that. But if we fix the problem of getting them out quicker, we might have to do some things that I think would cause other families grief.
Yeah.
So it's about balance. A couple of other things, 3 more things I just want to go over with you. These are the quickest one. First, I did include in here a circular letter I just got from the state with all the laws that were passed. We do this every summer, right, with the myriad laws that were passed and updated. Policy committee, get ready, we're going to be busy. A lot of changes coming with Title IX and other things. So I did include that. It's a circular letter. You can see that if you can't fall asleep at night and you want to read all the laws that were passed, feel free. There's links to all the text of that legislation. We're going to be working on Also included in your drive tonight, you asked for copies of the mental health grant, which is Sarah's here if you have any further questions, and you asked for copies of the grant that we submitted to secure our share from the Department of Administrative Services. Both of those are in there. You can take a look at them. They're many pages long. If you have any questions about them, I can answer them now, or feel free to give me a call or email.
I glanced at the one for the school consolidations, and if I missed it, were there supposed to be attachments? Did a lot of sections say see attached, see attached, see attached? I don't think I saw any attachments. Or maybe I missed them.
I wrote an email, I said, you're more than happy to, welcome to stop down to central office, because I have a binder full of everything. There's over 30 attachments.
30 attachments.
That go into each section, and the main ones really are the enrollment report, the specs plan that you guys have all already seen, and then the cost
The
estimate.
budget summary. They're all in different places.
Okay.
A lot more on the website. You can look at but it's mostly the ed specs plan, all of the information Fryer put together for us, the private enrollment studies. But yes, those were all provided to the state.
Okay, so those were all sent though to the state
Yes,
electronically, or?
It's all, there's like a click here to add this attachment, click here to write these notes, and so it's within each of those 32 pages, there's multiple places that I had to upload different documents.
Very good.
But I have them all saved on my computer if you
Okay.
want to see any.
Thank you.
And we've received most of them
Yes.
already, yeah.
And you've approved some.
And we've approved many of them.
Some of them are like roof design, the rooftop
Yes,
and the square footage and that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Then the last thing I have for you, which is exciting, right? I included a letter that we received from the Department of Administrative Services. The last board meeting, I mentioned to you that as of July 1, we learned that our reimbursement rate, which is linked to our town's wealth and Anglic rating, is at 51%, right? Which is higher than we thought it was going to be, right?
Yeah.
Good news for us. I also got a letter, and Stephanie and I communicated with the Department of Administrative Services, and we like this information in writing, that they have committed an additional 5% because of our relationship with Open Choice. That our commitment to Open Choice has been to try to maintain 5% of our students. That qualifies us for an additional 5%. That puts our research reimbursement rate at 56%. And a couple percentage higher for just those spaces that we build that are going to be related to early childhood pre-K. So 56% right now is really good. I mean, that is something that we need to make sure everybody understands. If you remember when I stood here and presented to you and the Board of Selectmen, we were using 40%. Because again,
45.
right, because we were trying to be very conservative, right? At 56%, that's a huge state reimbursement that's not going to be reflected in your mill rate. It'll be reflected in your mill taxes someday, but it's coming from the state, not reflective of potential impact on property tax. So Portland's at 44%. Now, if you consider that 4% also in the context of the significant savings in terms of overhead, from staffing reductions and savings from all of those other electric bills and things that we pay, well, there it is. I mean, I gotta be very careful, right? Because as we learned during this silent period, I can only share accurate information. I can't share an opinion about how people should vote, but the financial package is robust.
So 2 questions. Just with this X7, I was trying to understand this letter from GAS. Or this wasn't from GAS, sorry, this was from the Department of Education. It's where it says Portland Public Schools has proposed that the additional pre-K grades will increase by 5% or 32 students in open choice spaces starting the 2026-27 school year. Is that just a typo on their part? Did they mean pre-K through 1 grades? We don't have pre-K open choice students, so I was confused by the pre-K. It's a typo on their part, right? It'll be a pre-K 5 school. The increase by 5% is just a reference to the fact that we've already committed
5%.
to hitting 5%. We're not looking to increase beyond the 5%.
We're not looking to go to 10%.
Right.
Okay. It's a 1% reimbursement for every percent of open choice students they have.
In that school.
Gotcha. And we've had a 5% commitment for several years.
We've had a goal of maintaining 5% of our seats for open choice students. And we've chosen 5% because that we also get additional funding for that. It's the right number. Right?
So the
So-
32 number, the 32 students, that's not an increase, that's maintaining
Maintaining 5%.
currently in the year.
But we
It's
will
still
double
got
check.
increase.
Yeah,
Because
just-
we're
Looking
increasing.
at 32
Or 32.
right now.
Yeah,
That's
6.
looking at because Charles had to provide, our seats right now of what we're claiming, and then they
Mhm.
future it out to the 26-27 school year, and it's in that range where they'll be, plus however many we open kindergarten at the time, whether it's 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
So it says increase by 5% on 32 students, and we that's included.
They just mean the number of seats we declare.
Yeah.
Add up kindergarten, like right on page 1.
Yeah, it wouldn't mean that we would be going to 10%. I think if you're saying, we've said historically, and are now at 5%.
And if we continue to make our commitment of 5%, Department of Ed affirms that we have, that the Department of Administrative Services will agree that that entitles us to an additional 5% in reimbursement, because it's a one-to-one.
Right, we're not going up to 92 students. We
Correct.
budgeted at 60.
Yeah,
We had 70 last year, we had 64 this year. We're not going to 92. It's
Right.
remaining within.
okay. Thank you, that helps clarify that. It was, the wording on that sentence was a little confusing.
Those are the numbers that we sent.
Those are the numbers.
Those numbers we sent to the state, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Do we have a sense if we fall short of that 5% goal, what happens with the reimbursement rate?
Well, so I think what this means is that we need to make sure we maintain 5%. That's going to be our commitment. Now,
And this also comes at the end,
right.
at the end of everything. So once the school is open, like this is the overall audit and everything, and then this is like a bonus that they add on. And what's interesting is that when we reached out to the state to the State Department of Ed, they had no idea this was even a thing. We must have been the first people because they're like,
To ask about it?
to ask about it.
Shocking.
And I'm like, oh, we're gonna get every penny that we can, every penny that we can. So, and that's why I wanna make sure too, because if they've never written one of these letters before, I wanna make sure they're putting in the correct information.
Yeah.
So I think if we could get clarity on it, it would be helpful to know at what point in time do they take that snapshot? Because it sounds like it's a snapshot on average.
Usually it's October 1st of the school year. That's when, that's when we get our funding, our 10,000 per student, they look at who's enrolled as of October 1st.
But I mean, for the sake of this.
So, and to add on to that question, I would like clarity, is it about the seats declared or the seats filled? Because there's always a slight difference, right? And it'd be good to know, we declare 5%
Fine.
seats,
Well,
so it'd be good to
But
just
not,
give
yeah,
them
not
to
to
know.
detract from how this is
Yeah,
understood.
it is.
I would love to have that clarity from you.
Yeah, we will make sure, and those are great questions. I think.
Make sure,
Yeah,
is it based off of our seats or how many come? That's one
Mhm.
question. And
what
then,
happens if?
right, what happens if we don't get the 5% as far as how many actually come? And then the second question is to confirm that it's the true 52, the true 5% of our current enrollment, not 10.
Yeah.
That additional
At
5%.
what point in time are they taking that snapshot?
That's a four. So the question is whether they collected that, is it part of the October 1 PSIS upload? Two, it's maintain the 5% commitment, not go an additional 5%, which would mean a 10% commitment.
I don't think that's
I
what
don't
they're saying,
think
but
that's-
let's get how they spell that out.
To give us 10%.
Right, yeah, I agree with them. So we'll confirm that. Three, what happens if we drop below the 5%? Do we only get 4%?
Right.
And there was one more.
Well, I guess just to clarify what you might have heard is, would it be October 1st of 2026? Is that the year that we're talking about?
The target date for.
We
That's
can,
what I
we
was
could still be in the middle of a construction project at that point,
Exactly.
yeah, so.
I do know that it's at the end of everything. So if the school is open in fall of 2026, maybe, but if the school isn't open until the following year, I probably wouldn't do it until the following year after that, but I'll confirm that.
Yeah, I think that's good clarity to get on that, but it is exciting, that's in general, that's very good news for us.
I have a question just in terms of actively recruiting students to come and be seated here at Valley View or in any of the schools in Portland. I know we used to have a team that would go up and during the lottery week when people were looking at schools because it is a lottery and they can choose to be in the lottery for the school of their choice, correct? So how are we continuing to be active in terms of?
So we'll be careful that we're not allowed to recruit. Right, we can't interview, we can't recruit students. What we do is when we go to the fairs, we'll set up a table and provide information about Portland. But we don't have any input into the selection of students.
Exactly.
They go through the lottery and we get what we get.
Right, understood. But we do participate in fairs that give people information about our
Yeah,
schools.
we have brochures and
If
nice
the kids
table.
were here in previous years, they get priority, don't they, as well as their siblings, if the siblings are new as well.
Yeah, once there are students, there are students for as long as they choose to be here up until they collect their diploma.
Yeah, graduation.
All right, this is good, thank
That's
you.
all I have, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Charles. Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
Can we discuss goals this evening?
We'll get there.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to do that now?
Yeah, that's so.
You don't have to, I just wasn't.
No, it's on the list, but it was either going to be now or in my comments.
Want to do it now?
Go ahead.
So Laurel and I spoke with Eric, and got to speak with the administrators. We would love to suggest, and hopefully you're available if you have your calendars. Are you available Tuesday, August 20th at 6 p.m.? Say 6 to 7:30? If you're available for that, we would love to schedule a goals workshop. And at that goals workshop, invite Eric, the principals, Sarah, me, to join the board, and let's not have it set up like this. Let's have a table set up and break bread, and let us share our tacos. You know, talk about the things that we're committed to working on this year. What's that?
This is Taco Tuesdays.
He is
Oh, there we go.
absolutely talking about bringing the taco goals. Taco Tuesday.
I didn't manufacture that, but if that's what it is, I
That's
think
fine.
it could be, maybe that might be our dinner together, right? So, if you're available on that day, I'm thinking it would be nice for us to have a goals workshop. Invite the leadership team, have discussion, get your input, with the ultimate goal of having a first read of the tacos on Tuesday, September 2nd, then hopefully a second read and approval at the second board meeting in September, which is the 19th. So the question there is that something you'd be interested in doing, and are you available on that date?
Yes and yes.
And you said August 20th?
August 20th.
I'm proposing
6th August.
7:30, you said.
We picked Tuesday because we know that tends to be a good evening for folks, but the 27th, the personnel committee has negotiations, so that week was out. Plus it's the first week of school, so it's a little tricky to try and schedule. We sure do.
Yeah, okay.
It would be a busy day. But yeah, the 20th, we do have morning negotiations as well. Does
So
that,
this be billed as, I apologize, be billed as a board meeting, or be noticed as a board meeting?
as a special meeting,
Special.
and we'll call it a goals workshop, the same way we usually have budget workshops, you know.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, does
So
that
it
work
would
for
be
you?
a new twist, and we haven't done this one
You're not
before,
sure
Angela,
yet.
so this is
Okay.
new ground for you.
Do you want to take,
It's good.
you don't have to answer right this second.
Unfortunately, I also teach at St. Mary's, I'm a catechist, and they're having their catechist meeting that night at 6:30. So, I've had a conflict.
We could look at a different evening that week. Maybe what we should do
I can
instead of,
any other night that week.
so I think instead of spending any more time on this right now, if there's an agreement that this would be productive, and I think it really would be. You know, in the past, we've had retreats as a board to discuss annual goals, but it's always just been with our superintendent, and given the new nature of our goals, that they branch out, the site-specific nature of our goals, it seemed really valuable to get us together with the full administrative team to have that conversation as a group. So maybe we could do an email and get folks weighing in on dates.
Tricia, can you work on that tomorrow? And otherwise, once we find a date, we'll put it general.
But hopefully with the goal of it happening before the end of the month.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question, Sarah? Excellent.
So, Karen really likes the idea, we just gotta find the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we'll look for an email from Tricia, thank you. All right, we're gonna move on. We have a report from our assistant to the superintendent for business and financial affairs.
So included in the packet is the operating spending report for this year. I'm still not done with last year. There's still some outstanding invoices, waiting on a couple of things that Gillis, we got electricity and gas. There was an issue with the meter. So you know, we're getting closer to the end. My state report will be due September 1st, so that's why I figured the September meeting I can do a full report. You know, I submitted a report, so we did. It just didn't seem to do it now. So that will be in September. So far this year, I've been kind of going through with all, you know, the changes in staffing, trying to update my salary sheets and seeing where we're landing, so I get a better idea with that once the rest of the staff is hired. Looking at the authorized spending report, you know, the first couple of lines, that's your just 12-month employee salaries. The 1200 account is ESY, some custodial work that they work in the schools, overtime, medical, all the basic stuff. We're just going to encumber POs for all our contract services, open supply orders, open repair orders. So that's basically what the majority of things on here right now. I've been busy doing all the school orders. Some are enterprise, some are non-enterprise, which would be your WB Mason orders, Craig Marketplace, Amazon, that won't show up in here until we pay them. We had a busy ordering season this year. I was on vacation for a week, so I'm just trying to catch up on that. But other than that, we're looking pretty good. Hopefully all the schools are getting everything that they need to start the year off. I've been working with Sarah on professional staffing, supplies, getting her into the grants and you know what needs to be done, ordered. So we're working on the upcoming year IDEA, Title III, lots of busy stuff going on.
Great.
So if anybody has any questions about what is listed here, I can try and answer them.
Can I just ask a quick question about these meter issues at Gildersleeve?
Mm-hmm.
Does it impact, how does it impact, in terms of, you know, we've now jumped from fiscal years into a new fiscal year. How does that happen if meter reading didn't happen when it was meant to happen? Is that a problem for us?
I'll have to do an accrual. I'll have to accrue what's anticipated or what we think it's going to be. So I'm basically probably have to look back at the last like 6 months, come up with an average and put that in as a journal entry.
For the past fiscal year.
And then luckily CNG, they're reading out August 12th. So we should be good with that one because I still have the PO open. So that one will be, but the electricity one didn't realize, I did realize, but we closed it because I said, there's no way the electricity is $65. So we knew there was an issue. It's just working with, it's hard to get a hold of Eversource, and because we also have the NG for the supply, so we had to figure out, was it on their end, was it on Eversource's end, and it came down to both the gas and electricity meters. There was something wrong with them, or they weren't reading them properly or whatever. So no, it won't. That's why I'll have to do an accrual. That's just the same for anything where we know we'll have an expense close to in the new year that we always book it in this year. And that's why it's always so hard for me towards the end of the year to give a full picture because I don't know a lot of the stuff yet.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question, Stephanie. Is temporary payroll covering ES line?
That's the aside.
Did we take into consideration this real high bump in electricity costs at Eversource? Everybody seems to have had an issue, especially in the month of July, with their electricity bill being astronomical.
We have a supply company, so we don't use Eversource. We use NG, so we've been budgeted for however many months we're locked in for, 36.
Okay.
So we're good for that. And we have the solar panels at Brownstone, which have been great. We've seen a reduction at Brownstone, so.
I'm the light too.
Do you see any change in electricity at Bellevue with the few solar panels that we have on the cafeteria roof? Just out of curiosity.
I haven't noticed, more so from the change in the LED lights, because when we did the LED project here in Valley View, I saw a change right as that was happening, so it's starting to catch up now. I don't know, I haven't noticed anything.
It's a very small array, so it's probably not producing what it does.
Maybe eventually it will.
Yeah, I don't know. We should look at that and see.
Other questions for Stephanie? No? Sounds like we're ready to move on. Stephanie, thank you very much. All right, we are excited to have our first report from our new Director of Student Services. Sarah, come on up.
Good evening, everybody. So I have an update on our numbers in special education, some hiring, and then 2 initiatives that we've been working on in central office. So I'll go through the report, and if folks have any questions, we can talk about any specific areas. So the first table you see on your report is just our numbers. I backdated to show the historical numbers, so we can kind of see how the numbers of kids in special education, outplacements, special programs kind of wax and wane throughout the school year. So the big news here is that, since June and this month of July, we've had 3 students return from outplacement settings to Portland Public Schools. That's really exciting for the students that they've made excellent growth in their special ed setting. They're coming back to their home district. Very exciting, of course, from, like a fiscal perspective, is also an enormous cost savings in terms of transportation and tuition. So that's really exciting. 2 of those students will require a one-to-one paraprofessional to support their programming here in district. So, later on in the agenda you see we are going to be asking for an additional paraprofessional to support one of those students. The other students, Stephanie and I are able to work together to fill that internally with pairs that we already had. So that will, come a little later in our meeting tonight. But that's a huge, victory for those students, their families, for the community that they're coming on back. So we'd like to see that. So our number that are right now, as of today, is 19. Again, that number waxes and wanes. It can change throughout the school year, but we are, under what was budgeted at this point, which is, very nice. As far as staffing, Ryan alluded.
So 19 for outplacement?
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so you see July, we started at June, we were at 22. Students have returned back, 3 have returned over the month of July, so they'll be starting with us in August back in Portland.
So that asterisk leads to 20, where is the notation for that?
I don't know if you have a different version than me, I have 19 on mine.
I mean, that's
We are now at 19. So you have an earlier version, had another student return last week. So we're 19, so that's exciting. Apologies for that difference in the paper you have and paper I have. So, okay, you have 19. Yeah, I apologize that we had a couple of PBTs we were waiting on, and we anticipated them to come back, but you always want to make that decision in PBT. So exciting that we have 3 kiddos joining us again. As Ryan alluded to, it's been really, really busy in special services with hiring. We have done, I think he undershot it, I've done about 5 days of paraprofessional interviews at this point. But I'm really excited that we have these new folks joining us at the September meeting. You'll see their, funny video they make these new hires. You'll get to hear a little about all of them from Charles. But their names are here. I'm excited that we've hired a speech and language pathologist to service Gildersleeve and Brownstone. That's very exciting to have someone in our district. We have a new BCBA filling my vacant position, which is exciting. Nicole Greasy is fantastic. We have new social workers at Valley View, at Portland High School. We've also hired a teacher to support our RISE program, which is the split life skills program between Gildersleeve and Brownstone. And since, Charles mentioned this earlier, since this report was sent to you all, we have hired a special education teacher, Kim Dietrichson, at Brownstone. She is a former paraprofessional of ours who's returning, has gotten her special education degree, so that's exciting. And as Ryan also mentioned, we're hoping to wrap up in the next week or so our ABA teacher at Valley View. So I'm really confident that we'll be fully staffed going into the school year. Again, barring any changes late in the year, we're in a good place. As far as
Are these new positions, or these are just new hires?
New hires.
There were positions that were already there, vacant.
These are vacancies, and some of these are positions that we had reported on earlier this evening. Several of the 7 that we're talking about are covered in here.
Very good, thank you.
So as far as non-certified, we've hired 5 paraprofessionals as of today. We have 6 openings, 7 if we decide to add that additional person tonight. We've also begun, and this will be discussed at Buildings and Grounds, some discussion of hiring van drivers and the purchase of a special education specific van. That's in the works. We're in that hiring process. We did make a change at central office of using Indeed.com to cross-post our posting, and we're finding that the paraprofessional pool is significantly more talented. We have a lot of applicants for parapools. We're able to move more quickly, so that's been a really positive change that we've made, is we're getting folks that not necessarily use Appletracks or CTU even finding us through Indeed. So that's been really wonderful to find experienced paraprofessionals come work with our kids. So that's been great. The 2 other initiatives we've under.
How many van drivers are we looking for?
We're just in the exploration stage with that. So at Building and Grounds, Charlie and I will share kind of the proposal we put together. If we did purchase an additional van, what the cost savings would be, what the upfront costs would be. We're just looking into the pool to see who's available and kind of an exploration step.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know whether the cart or the horse is the drivers or the van. we're thinking we want to make sure we have the drivers before we go invest in the van.
So that means we don't currently have open positions for van drivers.
No, we're playing the field. We're seeing if we can generate a pool of people to staff the van before we before we jump.
So of course, the whole van proposal that again will be discussed in committee is underway. The admin team and I also.
So at the beginning of last year, wasn't there an issue that Dawn reported about vans not being available to children? Are we spearheading that now? It sounds like there's discussions going on, but we're getting really close, or is this a totally different issue?
Totally different issue.
Well, related but different. The van that we purchased last year, specifically to assist with transporting our transition students, we've had drivers for that van for the bulk of this past school year.
Yeah, we struggled at the beginning to find someone, but by October we had a great person. He was with us all last year and he's coming back. So this would be his second van.
It's to build on that success.
Build on that success, yes.
Very good, thank you.
All right, good, keep going. Okay. The other initiative we've undertaken in central office is an audit of all of our paraprofessional needs throughout the district. So the leadership team and I read through literally hundreds of IEPs, made sure that we are really combing through them to make sure that all of our student needs are matching with the staff that we have in district. And you can see underneath kind of the funding sources for those paraprofessionals that we have. And this number, 57 reflects, just so you guys know, also positions that are funded by Hartford program choice students. So you can see the breakdown there. So the change there would be, coming and asking for one additional position to support that student returning from outplacement. Any questions on my report?
No, it's beautiful.
Yeah, can I just ask the board while Sarah's still here? I think this report is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Format-wise and information-wise, we've added the outplacements, we've talked about the paraprofessional. I think you're getting a lot more information out of this, and I think it's reflected on what we've asked Sarah to do both in the interview process and some of the needs. I want to thank her for doing this. Just like, we're giving Stephanie feedback on information you're looking for. Is there anything else in Sarah's report that you'd like to see, or is this a good model? Like, is this what you want her format of her reports to be going forward?
I think this is a big improvement.
Thank you.
And the fact that we have it in advance, so that
And
is
the
great.
timing was better.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
And also,
but I also,
identifying the grants and all of the funding that's available to us and how we're funding all of these positions is important for budgeting purposes when we do budget.
I have one question that I wanted on the van proposal, the transportation coordinator stipend, is that an individual who's already been identified, or is that something that has to be?
We can talk through buildings and grounds and kind of have the initial proposal. We want to run by everyone and some thoughts on how that could work.
Yeah, we haven't negotiated anything yet. We're very much in the big idea thinking, framing some things out. No numbers have been set, no agreements have been made. We're floating ideas right now.
Would that come to personnel?
100%. And yeah.
Yeah, I think process-wise, it'll start with buildings and
Yeah.
grounds, so they can discuss the logistics around the van and propose it, and then I expect it would come to personnel to look at exactly what you're talking about, the stipend of the van drivers, and then it would come to the full board.
Yeah, and that was just so you know, I heard that loud and clear that transportation is something that you're asking for us to work on. So I wanted to convey, though we're in that kind of exploration and research stage, it's something that Charles and I prioritize. We're working on really intensely to run the numbers of what the savings would be, how could it be done. So I just wanted to update you all that is something that we've heard and we're working on it.
And it's also something that, while summer is a blessing of time and lets us explore these things, school's gonna start, we gotta get wheels on the ground, right? So we do have a buildings and ground meeting scheduled. Once we're gonna move on this. And, certainly we'll keep the board informed, but I just wanna make sure Sarah and Stephanie too, because I know Stephanie and Bob also, thank you for your hard work and big ideas on this, right? I know and I appreciate communicating with me, but these are really good thoughts and nothing solid yet, but I see the vision and I appreciate bringing it to us.
Just a quick question about the transportation stipend or that part of it. That person would only be doing the special ed van transportation. That was historically a stipended position with one of the secretaries previously.
Correct.
So, I don't know where it ends
So
up.
there's precedent for it.
There's a precedent for it, yeah.
And part of, we'll talk about the nature of that position, but a lot of it is, yeah, people get sick, who's driving the van?
Right.
And who's up at 6 in the morning making sure that things are working and road conditions are good, and, you know, it's a job.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that I really appreciate the audit that you've done on our paraprofessional, on their time and distribution across the district. I appreciate that feedback. I love the format of the report, and I would say too that, you know, you sort of inherited a little bit of this format. This is great, and if you see changes in the future or areas where you think you might want to add other information, you know, try it out.
Sure, yeah, whatever information, I'm happy to share what we're working on, just so you all are in the loop. Give me any feedback if you have it on things you want to know about, things you don't need to know about, you know, anything like that.
That's great, it's really appreciated, Sarah. Thank you.
I have one more question for you, because I think it falls under your reign. Kindergarten registrations, assessments of kids who may be seeking to waive maybe their December birthdays or whatever. Have we seen any of that activity in terms of?
Sure, so I think Ryan Walsh would be the best person to speak on that, because he's been fielding it. I know there have been a few, and I can't speak fully to it, because him and I just had a few conversations, but I know there have been a few cases of it. And, you know, it seems like the process that we have in place is going well. We don't anticipate it impacting our numbers significantly.
Yeah, I can let you know, Jessica Brewer actually did all that before she left. We had 11 students who requested the assessment. These are students who are 4, turning 5 before January 1. All of them, believe it or not, were actually like September, October 5-year-olds. So they were older 4-year-olds. All of them took the assessment and passed. So the process worked. There was one that we had a question about, discussion with the parent, and
They were happy.
they were happy.
We didn't either.
So the process worked
I know in
well.
August we did get a few stragglers that weren't sure they were gonna send their kids or, you know, decided to at the last minute, took a job or whatever, so. All right, Ms. Conner.
I am curious with the paraprofessional audit, like, are you looking to other districts or how they have done these things? And so, like, or do you have a sense of what we have, where they're funded, what are the next steps when it comes to that? Because I know Dawn talked about like, how we could best utilize paraprofessionals as a resource to support students.
Yeah, absolutely. So this, I didn't go with anything from another district. It was a manual audit. Unfortunately, CP said there was no great way I discovered to pull hundreds of IEPs and filter for para, so I manually was reading hundreds of IEPs and highlighting them. Don't recommend. The goal of that was just to make sure that we are fully supporting all of our students, be it, you know, those academic push and support paras, one-to-one paraprofessional, shared paraprofessional. So that was the goal initially, and make sure as students move through our schools, the support moves with them, because we do have, you know, a large number of transitions. So that was the goal of that. I think the next steps would be, I know Dawn spoke about it, you know, a bit last year, is we've created a paraprofessional matrix to kind of evaluate at what point does a student need adult support and for what reason. And that's something we're gonna be rolling out this year in all of our PBT meetings. If we are gonna be looking to add adult support, filling that out and delineating, you know, the reasons the student needs the support and what that support looks like, just to make sure, you know, a paraprofessional is a pretty intrusive intervention for a student. We wanna make sure we're not over supporting students and letting them become independent, but we also wanna make sure we're not under supporting them if they do need that type of specific support. We're documenting that, we're monitoring it, and noting, you know, what the needs are.
That's great.
That's excellent. See, looking at that, because it's so easy just to perpetually have go one-to-one. Is it really, what is the need still?
Yeah, and it's, you know, and especially with our transition academy, that's a really great example of we want students to be independent, and there's very few adults in this life that have another adult with them helping them through things. So we want to make sure that we're looking to always build independence in our kids, and that's a way to monitor it.
That's great. Other questions for Sarah? Sarah, thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you. All right, with that, we'll move to new business. And the first item under new business is a request for a leave of absence from Sarah Salmstrom.
So I included the letter from Sarah. She's expecting. Her due date is October 17th, and she is asking for your permission to take maternity leave. Fully support the request.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept your request for maternity leave, beginning on October 1st.
October 17th or whenever she has her delivery. Yeah. Motion made by Meg, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tim, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously, and best of luck and all the well wishes to Sarah Sundstrom. Wonderful, and I'm glad we didn't go far, Sarah, because the next item under new business is the request for another paraeducator.
Did you want to talk about this?
Alright, so as I mentioned, we have those 3 students returning from outplacement. 2 of them do require one-to-one paraprofessional support to make that transition successful. One of those students we were able to fill internally with the roles that we had in district already. One would require adding a paraprofessional. So the cost savings associated with that, just so you know, tuition is quite high, transportation, as you guys know, is quite high. For the student to be successful returning to public school, they would really require that one-to-one aid in a specialized program. So I would request that we make that change to support that student returning to their home community, and on the fiscal end, it really makes a lot of sense to do that.
And I would just mention this was discussed and vetted through personnel, and we have committed not to adding any certified or non-certified faculty staff without your approval to do so, and that's what we're asking.
Question, I feel like in some correspondence somewhere, but I'm just gonna ask, are we filling para positions through the subservice?
We are not this time, no.
All those positions have been filled, any paras that are needed are being filled through the LEA budget, not through.
So they're through, you have the breakdown of where they're, yeah.
Let me grab that. Okay, so we did last year have a need in pre-K where we were using our ESS service to fill that need. This year, we're hoping, I may be back to you with a request to fill that position internally. I just want you to be aware, we have a budget, we have a set budget, and Stephanie here is always gonna remind me very quickly if we're off budget, right? We know we have these 3 positions in first grade vacant. My hope is that as Ryan goes through the hiring process, when we hire people, they come in at a lower place on the salary schedule than the people who have left, which I think is likely. I believe that's going to create some of the flexibility for me in September to be back with a request to not fill it through the subservice, but bring it in as a paraprofessional. That's the one I think you're talking about.
Right, we have correspondence of that,
Correct.
so they're working that way.
Yeah, and we have used ESS to fill some short-term para needs when parents leave or otherwise it's on a day-to-day basis while we're trying to find someone. So there is some past practice of using ESS to fill those needs, but this year, Stephanie and I and Sarah and Ryan have had a conversation. We're gonna try to end that going into this year's budget. We're just not ready yet because we have to identify the funding source for that. I don't wanna come to you and ask, I'm not gonna create a deficit. I'm not gonna ask you to take a vote that's gonna create a hole in our budget. Sarah's ask for this paraprofessional is going to be superseded by the money we're not paying for transportation and outplacement tuition, so it makes sense. If after we hire these 3 people, we have the flex within the certified salary to add this as a paraprofessional, I'll be back to you, but I'll also will make the request and identify the funding source for you.
Okay. I just want to be sure that we're providing day 1 of school the para support that's needed. We're not trying to just fill holes. So, and then the other question is, we're talking 3 outplacements, how much money are we saving?
So what's interesting about that is we are saving some from the 3 returning, but Sarah just learned last week that we have a new student, right? So we'll get you that. Right now, do you want to give a ballpark, Sarah? Go ahead, give me a ballpark.
I'll give a ballpark. So outplacement tuition really varies depending on where a student is placed. It's not as if everyone is 100,000 or 50,000. They really significantly vary. One of the students we have coming back, I believe his tuition was about 125,000 tuition. And those students returning, I believe it was about 60, and I believe the third was around 110, plus transpo, and that varies again depending on where they're going. So if you take that, again, we have some students at the very tail end. I believe Don shared we had some that were pending outplacement that were placed at the tail end of the school year. So we're still under that budgeted 21, but there's been some movement back and forth.
Okay, so I guess my point is, do we have enough then? Should you be asking for 2 paras? Do we have the paras we need day 1 of school? Or is this now a playing catch up in September and we're going to be asking for another para?
We the staffing we need to open school. And it may mean for a short time that we use other paras within district and deploy them in the right way, but we will, Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to step on your foot, you're the one who reviewed the IEPs and has spoken with Brian. Are you confident, because we don't have another board meeting until September 2nd, that we're going to be able to open school and provide, assuming we can hire all these paras, which I know we're in hiring season.
Right, so I would say as long as we successfully hire at this point now 6 that we're waiting for, where there's still positions, I would say we're in a good place day one of school. My question would be that pre-K position and just any changes. You know, we could also have a student move in who registers the week before school with needs, or we might be not in a good place. But as of now, if our, you know, our staffing comes through and if our enrollment stays where it is, I would say we're in an excellent place to open school.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question.
Good question.
So are there, to bring us back to this request for one paraeducator to support one of our returning students, are there additional questions about that request? And if not, is someone prepared to make a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the request for one additional paraprofessional for a one-on-one position. That would be.
Or not specific,
Not exactly, wherever they're needed.
Yeah, thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Kim. Any further discussion? No, this is wonderful. I'm very excited that these 3 students are able to return to district, and it seems like it makes a whole lot of sense to make sure we're providing the support to set them up. Yep, I was just offering some comments. My own discussion. It's all good. Was there any other discussion? No. Nope. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. No, it's all good. Everybody needs a reminder sometimes. Excellent. Thank you, Sarah. That's really appreciated. We're going to move to old business. The only item of old business is to wrap up our Board of Education self-evaluation, and that will be discussed under executive session. So we're going to continue moving to committee reports, and we can probably move through these quickly. Curriculum has not met this summer, but we look forward, we're working on with Eric on scheduling meetings beginning in the fall. Policy.
8/14, August 14th is a policy meeting.
Personnel has been very, very busy, and you've heard about a lot of it this evening. You had the para report, as well as about the exit interviews that we've been reported on. The big one is that we did reach a tentative agreement with the administrators bargaining unit, so we anticipate that will come to the full board for a vote in September, and we are still deep in ongoing negotiations with our teachers and look forward to resolving that likely in September. Buildings and grounds.
There's a meeting on August the 19th at 10 a.m.
Crack liaison.
Craig is now quiet, they're very busy, probably hiring teachers and whatnot as well. The first meeting is in September. They have a big backpack giveaway day scheduled for, I think, the 14th of August, and their convocation's on August the 23rd. So things are moving along there as well.
Dave would give us our Board of Selectmen update, but he is away this week. Anybody know what the Board of Selectmen are up to? Get a report on them? No, we'll wait till next time. Busy as bees. Yeah. Oh, actually, while we're on the Board of Selectmen, I will report that John Dillon sent his regrets for not being here. He's also away on vacation, but said that he looks forward to getting caught up when he gets back. And he was apologetic about missing our meeting. Youth Services Advisory Board.
The next meeting is August 20th.
Equity and Inclusion Coalition.
I imagine we'll be meeting in September or October when school starts up again. I don't think we date that.
I don't think we do.
Okay. And I imagine Dave will want to catch us up on the Land and Building Usage Committee when he returns. So that wraps up our committee reports, and we will move on to our second audience of citizens. Do we have anyone with us who wishes to offer comment at this point with us in person? Is there anyone online who wishes to address the board?
No one has responded yet.
All right, thank you. And let's move along to Board of Education member comments. I'll start with yours, Sarah.
Just to follow up on what I said earlier, that like I too share people's heartache over people, those are kids who have educated my kids and whom I built personal relationships with. So anyone sending them think that this doesn't affect us, because we just we sit up here, that's not true. We really serve in this voluntary capacity because we care deeply about the school district and about how our kids are educated and who's educating our kids. So I just wanted to say that I hear you, your feelings are valid. I would have those same concerns if my kids were in first grade. So thank you to those who have spoken up and reached out and let us know your thoughts. And that I think is, and thank you Sarah for your first report, great to hear. And I'm really glad to hear some good news on the reimbursement rates. So thank you to Charles and Stephanie for your work on that.
Thanks, Sarah. Angela, any comments this evening?
Well, you and I haven't touched base yet, so I'll wait till we have our conversation
Sounds
about
good.
a couple of my concerns, and then we'll take it from there.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Just thank you, Sarah, for a great report, and also, understand that we do understand what the community needs and wants, and we welcome comments and participation at board meetings, so thank you for coming. That really is important. It's also good to get the facts, and social media certainly did blow up over the weekend, and there were lots of comments, unfortunately, that, was hearsay, and it's good that people came and actually participated. I was able to participate in a Teacher of the Year symposium at Mohegan Sun on Monday. Our Teacher of the Year, Sam, and Sam Tucker and Dylan Bernard were both in attendance, and it was a very exciting time, so thank you to the tribe, the council, elders who promote education and support it in so many different ways, including the Teacher of the Year. I also participated in a CAVE webinar today, which is now archived on their website, about how administrators and finance directors develop a budget, and it was very informative. So if anybody's interested, they can go to the website and check it out. And Thursday, CAVE is hosting for professional development for board members, because we still are lifelong learners as well, a whole day of leadership training at Water's Edge. It is free to all board members who are members in the association, and it is a day to come together and network and find out about best practices and come away with some professional development. So.
And Angela, you signed up for that, right? I'm so excited that you're able to attend.
Good. I think there's several of us that are going to be coming, so that's good. So thank you, and thank you to Ryan for updating us on what his plans are for Valley View. It's an exciting time.
Thank you, Meg. Kim?
Thank you to Ryan for explaining to us the plan, and I don't envy him with all the interviewing trying to get through this hurdle. I do know staffing, that people do come and go. I do share Angela's sentiment that when people are happy in positions, they will stay regardless. So I do feel exit interviews are great, catching them on their way out. I feel like we need to do more at the level of people who are staying. Why are you staying? What can we do to make it better so people who are leaving won't leave? And I would really like to see, we talk about continuous improvement for, we're going to talk about board goals and all of that, and teacher goals, and I think we should have a goal, Portland should have a goal of improving whatever it may be, and we need to get to the bottom of what is it that is making people even go on CT Reap to look for a job, and get them before that. Whether it be some sort of a climate survey, where it be some kind of an anonymous, people can just say, hey, here's what's not going great, here's what is going great, so that we can catch these people before they get out the door. I've heard people in my own community where I work saying, man, I don't know if I can do this anymore, but they get through the day, they know they could go elsewhere and make more money, but they stay at the end because of the colleagues, the support. So I do want to make sure that we do a deep dive, a good look at, are we providing the support? Is there more we should be doing? I say we, the board, the administration, are we providing enough time for teachers to just breathe and do their work? What can we do to make their job, which we know, as Charles said, and there aren't words that describe how difficult education is and how it just continues to get more difficult. So what can we do to keep these great people in district?
Yeah.
I think that's everything. And Sarah, thank you for that great report. It is helpful to hear all of the information. I'm glad to hear we're looking at transportation.
Thank you, Kim. Tim?
I can't follow that. It's, again, I appreciate Ryan's comments. One of my first questions was going to be is what's the cohort of folks out there that we have to choose among to refill these positions? And it was very heartening to see that there's a good, robust cohort of folks out there that can comment. And as Meg said, the social media, people, it's not there to enlighten people, and it's unfortunate. We want to shed light, not just heat and controversy. So I appreciate, Charles, all your comments tonight. I think the hard work you've done, it's a heck of a thing to run a school system. You guys do here with a very small set of administrators, and you do good work. You're bringing forward some good things. I was just reflecting on a conversation I had about, just to shift gears, the referendum coming up, and we as a board talked about that, right? And there's limited things we can do on that other than provide factual information, which we will do. But also to think about, start to think about like a plan B. What would a plan B start to look like? So we're not on November, I don't know what is election, the 5th. And so on November 6th, we're not all like, oh gosh, what are we going to do? So at least we have some framework of where we might go from there. We're not going to discuss that tonight, but maybe in a future board meeting, we can start to, or maybe building grounds looks at that, or starts to formulate what might that look like. Because there's enough material there that was created through this whole process that would give us some insight on how, where we might go from there.
Yeah.
And Sarah, thank you for your report. And I think the audit of how we utilize positions like that is so critical, because it's so much just gets done where what we've always done there, they've always been there, and let's push up against that a little bit and see what we really need to do. That's it.
Thank you. Kim, I'm glad you raised your point, and that triggered a thought for me that's kind of been on my notes, that you talked about soliciting feedback from our staff, and we know we already do that, and it's on my radar that in Eric's report next month, I'm hoping that he'll be able to report to us on some of the climate and culture data that he's collected from staff in the district, to be able to let us know, how anonymously how folks are feeling and what their needs are. Because we know we gather that information every year, and we got to figure out what that reporting mechanism looks like in a more concrete way. So just it's on my radar too, and I'm glad you raised that up. And the only other thing I wanted to say was just to express gratitude and appreciation and a little bit of celebration for our incredible teachers. And just as a very tiny case in point, because Sarah and I have small kids and are maybe tuned in, and maybe the rest of you haven't seen this, we have some teachers this summer who are out there fundraising so that they can start a robotics program at Gildersleeve this coming year. Coming up with a little bit of funding so they can purchase the initial equipment. It's their time off. They're not doing it, they're not being paid to do this. They're doing it because they are incredible and because they love our children and they love our district. And that's just this, little tiny example of just how special our staff is. So that's what I wanted to say. And on that note, we are going to move into executive session for the purpose of Board of Education self-evaluation. We will invite Dr. Britton to join us. Is someone, thank you, Meg. Is there a second? Seconded by Sarah. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously, and it is 7:45.